What's up, guys? This is Juan with Full Scene. We got Kiefer and we got Josh and
The Lance.
The Lance.
With GeoForce.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Joining us here at the NATDA show in Nashville, Tennessee.
If you recognize the name GeoForce, Women in the Trailer Industry just did an episode with Amanda. Amanda's been on and off the show a couple times. So these are her counterparts.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good to be here.
Let's get straight to the point. This what you do and what you don't do. No bullshit, sugarcoat when it comes to repairs and maintenance. Advice you can go to. Full seeing no.
How's the show going so far?
Yeah.
Going well. We've had quite a bit of traffic and very interested folks in what we do, which can't ask for anything better than that.
You really can't.
What booth are y'all at?
6:30.
6:30. So if you're here at the show, stop by GeoForce's booth at 6:30.
Yes,
Not
sir.
at 6:30, but like booth 6:30.
If it's 6:30, you're going to be out of luck. Right?
About 30 minutes after the show closes. But if you camp out, they'll be there. They'll be there in the morning.
Absolutely.
Unless you're watching this after the show and they're gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. That's it.
All right, this is getting way too timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly going on
Absolutely.
here. So, any Doctor Who references out there, or fans out there, Whovians? No, so GeoForce.
Yeah.
What is it, Lance?
GeoForce is, we're all about asset tracking, especially with heavy duty, rugged industries. We track a lot of non-powered equipment in industries like oil and gas and construction, mining, track powered equipment and vehicles as well. But our bread and butter is, and I'm sure Josh can speak to this too, is really around ultra rugged, remote environment type tracking. And some of those industries I mentioned are obviously kind of right in our wheelhouse. And we've kind of gotten into the trailer kind of business really for some of those same reasons. A lot of these guys are in really rough areas and dealing with agriculture and construction and those kinds of things. So tracking trailers is a natural extension of what we've already been doing.
So you said rugged, like just
Ultra rugged.
so. If I had a trailer and I was dragging it through Antarctica, would your product stand up to that?
Oh yeah, and then some.
Pictures or it didn't happen? We need to go.
We're going
Let's
to
go.
Alaska.
Alaska,
Antarctic. Antarctic.
Oh, Antarctica.
Way south. Let's go.
I mean, I like the cold, but I think that's too
Are you coming,
cold.
Josh?
Equally cold, but yes, I'm there.
Okay, cool.
Parka and all.
Parka?
I'm there.
About 5 parkas.
That's fine. That's fine.
There you go. You might need those.
So, Josh, how long have you been with GeoForce?
So, guys, I was employee number 25 at GeoForce. So
Okay, wait. The fact that you knew right off the top of your head, number
What-
25, X number of years ago, either you studied for this episode or you're just on point today.
I'm both. Is there a C option? I mean, yes, absolutely both. So
You fully sent it.
I did fully sin. That was a full sin, wasn't it?
Yes.
Worked it
So,
in.
Boom.
So,
Mic drop.
Employee number 25.
Employee number 25, yeah.
How long have you been with the company?
About 8.5 years.
All right. Where did you start with them?
So, when I came to GeoForce, I interviewed with, at that point, our VP of sales and a guy that I had no idea. I just thought he was another part of the guy in the interview. GeoForce was in a very infant stage at that point. I mean, to the point where they still had tarps up. They were building out offices. I mean, it was way back, right? And they said, well, we would like to bring you in and do inside sales. But our only concern is that at one point you'll want to go outside. Nah, not me. Like that, you know. Well, the other guy I was interviewing with was the owner of the company. I had no idea that it was the owner of the company. I did inside sales for about a year, and they said, hey, we're sick of you around the aisle. You got to go outside. You got to go outside. And so I started actually in Texas. I moved here from Texas 3 years ago, but my territory was Texas, Oklahoma, and Houston. Actually.
Okay.
So Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and then Oklahoma were my territories.
So the Metroplex and the future Metroplex.
Correct. Down 35. Correct. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I swear we're going to be part of the Metroplex in Madisonville in about 3 years.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Houston in the next 15 will be part of Dallas.
Part of
just
it, yeah.
the way it's going to go.
Yeah. All big trained and yeah. So how old is GeoForce? So how old is the company?
They are 12 12 years old now, 13 years old. So just to give you a little context, guys, our owner, Jimmy McLean, was a former offshore wireline engineer. And that's how we got our start. So if you've ever seen the movie Deepwater Horizon.
I've been to Deepwater Horizon.
So he was on that rig 2 weeks before it blew up. And so the whole story of GeoForce is there was a piece of equipment that needed to go offshore that they could not get. And our owner had to spend his year commission to get that over for an Exxon, a Conoco, one of the big boys. And he said, man, there's got to be an easier way to do this. And so out of that birthed our GT product, the one-way transmit satellite-based device, right? Which back 12 years ago, one-way transmit satellite-based devices were a novelty at that point. And so we got our start with offshore. And currently today it's offshore, upstream, midstream, downstream for us in the oil and gas space. And of course, as Lance alluded to, we do a lot of vertical market plays as well.
So back to you, Lance. VP of Marketing.
Yes,
How
sir.
long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company for about 2.5 years, and in this role for a little over a year.
What role were you before?
I started as Director of Product Marketing,
Okay.
and we've grown into a really nice, very talented team now. We have 5 folks on our team, and it's been an interesting ride, but a really, really good one. GeoForce is a unique company, at least for me. First company that I've worked for where we actually had a combination of product that was hardware and software based. I come from more of a B2B software background, so it's been really interesting, really fun, and being here is a really good opportunity for us. Again, I think we've got tremendous opportunities and potential within the trailer space. We already have some really big customers. Josh has a couple himself, and it's been a real nice opportunity for us to kind of go from there.
So inside of the marketing realm, because that's kind of where I live. When it comes to content and content development around the GeoForce products, how do you kind of tackle that? Like, how do you go about that? Since y'all are, usually a company is either a SaaS, sales a service, or product, right? It rarely do they cross over. So how do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we have a really talented director of content marketing that has added a lot of beef to our model and our capabilities. A lot of it really is, and we've got so many different asset classes and industries and types of equipment that we can track. A lot of it is really kind of gearing our content toward where we think our top 5 or 10 kind of unique combinations are. So it could be heavy equipment in construction, or a tank or a trailer in something like oil and gas or agriculture or something like that. So a lot of it is really trying to kind of find some of those unique combinations, focus on who our buyers are, why they're buying. A lot of the use cases are either loss prevention or I just need to know where my stuff is so I can keep my staff more productive, those kinds of things. So it's really kind of one of those two things. It's either driven off of audience or use case.
That's kind of cool.
It is.
And then you take that data and give it to him, and he's like, hey, you fall in this category.
Absolutely.
Let me sell you this product and this service.
Yeah, it's a all hands on deck at GeoForce. Our motto throughout the years has been big enough to serve you, but small enough to know you. And so
I love that. I absolutely love that.
So as we've grown, we didn't want to lose that kind of personal touch, right? The customer service touch of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of different variables, but that's what's helped us be successful over the years is that personal touch, right? Like, not only do we know the product that you need and things like that, but it's more like a family. I'm going to know your kids, and we're going to know, more about you than just, you owe me this much this month, right?
And when you look at that as a company, as a brand, that's when you start, not necessarily like a loyal fan base, but your audience becomes attached.
Correct.
Because you are diving into the trenches with them. You're not just, okay, cool, your customer number 305,
right?
Your bill is due. Hey, what's going on? How's your dog? How's your mom? Last time we talked, this was going on. That is one of the best things you can do for a brand. And the fact that is one of y'all's values is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Everybody I've ever met with y'all's company has been over the top sincere
Appreciate
and
that.
depending on how much caffeine they've had, of course. Hint, hint, Amanda, if you're watching this.
Only 600. 600. That's it.
No, she's not.
Huh?
She's not watching it?
No, I said only 600.
Only 600 milligrams, okay.
Only
No,
600.
but everybody I've ever met with your company, I've met a couple other people like throughout the years.
Yep.
They've always been sincere and actually care, which is phenomenal. And if y'all translate that to y'all service and the way y'all take care of people on a business side, there's nowhere but up.
Absolutely.
So, and I noticed throughout some of our podcasts today, a lot of people are comparing, like they've done the corporate life and then they came to the trailer industry. And this is one of the few places left that your word is your bond.
100%.
So it's inside of this, we just have some really foundational characteristics that define our industry right now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something you can't find anywhere else. And then y'all, like, big enough to serve you, small enough to care about you kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And everyone I've met has backed up those values.
That's a top leadership down type of thing, and it matriculates down to, all the different org charts within GeoForce as well. So, we attribute that to leadership, and how they're kind of guiding the ship. And they have done that since stage one.
How big is the company now, like as far as employee wise? If you're number 25.
Yeah. What do you say, Lance? We're what?
We're at about 130 right now.
About 130.
What number employee were you?
Probably about 105, maybe. Just guessing. So.
Man, but this
Yeah.
he had it on point, number 25.
Yeah. And we've seen some really strong growth. And Josh is right. I mean, the culture and the attitude really does start at the top and comes down. And we really outclass a lot of the bigger competitors out there with service and support, and it shows in our Trustpilot rating and our interactions with customers, the feedback that we get, and it really is important, for obvious reasons, but it's a big part of who we are.
So how do y'all keep all the employees in the loop? Y'all have weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings?
We do. We have a sales meeting every Monday, and everyone from all over the place dials in, and that's a really beneficial get-together for the whole group, for sales, marketing, for operations. Josh, I know, is on those calls every week, just like we are on the marketing side, and it's a really nice touch point opportunity for us. And I don't know, Josh, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, we have a couple of big quarterly business reviews every year at the headquarters are in Plano. And so everybody kind of gets together and, we take care of business, but we also like to have fun in the evening. So there's always activities and things like that.
Kind of like this show.
Kind of like this show, right?
No, we're working.
So they've always been very strategic to kind of loop people in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in the world of COVID and then post-COVID, there was a lot of disconnect, right? Everything was over Teams and stuff like that. And we've been very intentional at GeoForce to make sure we get the right people in the right room, but the whole group together too. I mean, for a cohesive unit, right? To bring you guys the best customer experience that, we feel like we can deliver. So.
Awesome.
So what's been dealing with your years in the trailer industry here with y'all's products, what's been the biggest takeaway that y'all have had that you've had to kind of learn about, or something that you've had to overcome within y'all's years working for GeoForce and inside the trailer industry?
Yeah, I mean, Josh can give his perspective. I mean, in just a relatively short period of time in dealing with some of our trailer customers and prospects, a lot of the focus, I think, has been obviously around theft prevention, protection of trailers, which obviously are high value assets in a lot of cases. And I think so for part of it is really the challenge has been just kind of understanding how do we tackle that? What are the best approaches and technologies for us, combination of hardware and software, because it could be different things. And how do we address those needs specifically?
Yeah, I mean, he's spot on, right? Theft prevention. I mean, we came to the NATDA show last year as our first year to experience that, and I mean, complete transparency. I was a little blown away. I mean, you see trailers every day, but you don't realize how big of a business that is.
Man, you ain't lying.
Right, and you start kind of peeling the layer of the onion back a little bit, and you understand quickly, like, that's a $75,000 trailer.
Yeah.
And when it gets legs and walks off, that's a problem. Somebody may be losing a job, right? Somebody, I mean, that downstream, that's a problem. And so to be able to work with guys in the industry to understand better, it's not just a tracking unit. What's behind that capital investment, for you is a big deal. And I think what that's done for us internally at GeoForce is that's pushed us from a product level, from a service level, in a new vertical, for us that we'll be able to bring good product.
Y'all were talking, you said that last year was y'all's first year.
Yep.
My introduction to the trailer industry was 2017, 2018? 2018. My first day was hopping on a plane in Houston to come to NATDA. At the time, it was in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something you tow behind a truck. Like, that was my knowledge.
Yeah.
My first day was at the show, being thrown into the skillet, like on the fire.
Yeah.
Here you go. Boom. I was there to film and take some photos. Like, that's all I did at that time.
Yep.
And people were asking me questions, and I was like, I don't know. I can entertain you till one of these guys is available. Like, people didn't even know I was, like, one or two people knew I was hired with the company before this.
They're like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah. And people are talking to me like, I keep you entertained, but I don't know. You know.
That's right.
They're the ones. But over the years, to see like not the advancement, but the growth in the industry, and also personally my understanding of the industry, like I have product knowledge, that kind of stuff, but it lacks in many places.
Right.
That's not my core focus to learn every dimension and this and that. But just seeing like the advancements of new products, new trailers coming out, new manufacturers, the people we get to work with every day, and it's phenomenal.
It is.
And the depth of this industry, because
it's the mafia.
Oh, 100% has to be.
It's the mafia.
You look at this industry like, okay, cool, you tow it behind a trailer or you tow it behind a truck. But what our industry touches is everything.
Everything. Yep.
People think it's solely transportation. No, it's electrical, it's fuel, it's gas, it's construction. Everything is touched by, exactly.
And I think in a lot of ways, that's why we've been successful. What you just said mirrors how we got our start. Oil and gas. I mean, think about all the things, like you think about oil and gas, and it's just not what you're pulling up out of the ground. It's in everything that we do, even down to the fiber in your clothes, right?
Yep.
And so to be able to kind of translate that, I don't want to say good old boy, but it's a very family, close-knit, like big but small, right? Where you see the same people every year, and it's, it's that, we feel that same energy as we do in oil and gas. It mirrors, in my opinion, you may be able to speak to that a little bit more, in my opinion, what we've been doing from our core business for years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And to add to that, it's not just the trailers, it's the equipment that goes on it.
Absolutely.
Whether that's powered, unpowered. It may even be the vehicle that's pulling it, right? So, and Josh is right, that's come from oil and gas, but I think it's translated into agriculture, construction, mining, anywhere we can track multiple types of assets really in the same platform, but in one kind of neat package. Trailer's a big part of it, but it's only one part.
Yeah, because you can easily tie up, heck, you got trailers now that are, $90,000, depending on what you're buying. Mm-hmm. With a truck, that's another $90,000. With a piece of equipment on it, that's another $90,000.
Both of those are way too rich for my blood.
Yeah, right.
So you're easily about to tie up $300,000, and you have no way of knowing anything of if it was to get lost or not lost, but stolen.
Right.
I know, like last year we had interviewed like outdoor locks. And to a point that works, but if they get through that, what then?
Yeah. What's that other sense of security behind it?
We all grab our phones or we have Airtags on our bags.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But compared to a $240,000 investment of a tractor, trailer, and a truck, I'm sorry, I would rather GeoForce's product on there that if that disappears, I can tell exactly where it's at, grab the shotgun, go get my stuff back, deal with the mess afterwards.
Absolutely.
Because you got a lot of folks that'll say, well, I'll just get it. Instead of putting a GPS tracker like y'all's or one of your competitors, they'll like, I'll just put an Apple tracker or one from Milwaukee. And what's the difference? for the people who are listening.
Yeah, so the differentiator is let's just talk about Airtags real quick, right? You have X number. The Airtag can only accommodate so many assets, right? And you can only have X number of users per Airtag. So when you get into a company that has multiple hundreds or thousands, how are you going to keep track?
Yeah.
Of Airtag and who's owning
Airtag 1 in the spreadsheet, next to it a name of who has it.
and those 5, right? Or do you protect your investment by putting on, what we call our AT3, heavy magnets on the side with the tamper sensor on the back of it, right? And we're able to provide you multiple scripting. What do I mean by that? So it's just running down the road. You'll maybe see it 2-3 times a day. No big deal. But what happens in that moment when somebody wants to steal it, right? To be able for them to take that off, that tamper sensor to alert you, and then for you to go and put that in repo mode or recovery mode at 24 times a day or start, stop, and motion every 5 minutes, there's your value. There's your value right there, right? It's a low-cost cellular device that's going to give you high frequency and more data than probably you want or need. But when the time comes, what's the price of doing nothing, right? Is it an Airtag because you were, you're like, I don't want to go spend X, or is it, hey, I want to make my investment, and if that happens, then I'm solid, I'm sold.
Yeah, and that's really huge because not just across industries, I think more and more the thieves are getting really smart. They're starting to look for trackers, so you need to have something that's covertly installed where you can. And something that's going to alert the business owner when it's removed. So the tamper sensor or something like that is really critical because people are starting to look for things immediately before they steal it.
Yeah.
I know Buttermount, he owns a landscaping company right there in Bentwater. Mm-hmm. And he just got his brand new enclosed trailer, 2 new John Deere commercial mowers, weed eater rack. He parked it at his shop over the weekend and then came back. He had a lock on it on the coupler.
Right.
Nope. He found 2 pieces.
Yeah.
Man.
And no trailer.
Yeah.
They found it, I think he said, it took them 2 weeks to find the trailer, but everything on the inside was already gone.
Already gone, yep.
But if he had a tag from GeoForce of their product on each one of those devices or pieces of equipment, he'd be able to find them all.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you tell?
When
you found out about this, did you tell him about GeoForce?
Well, this is maybe 2 years ago.
Before our relationship.
He'll tell him now. I'll tell him now.
I'll send him this episode.
Frank, if you're listening.
and Juan touched on a really big point too around the cost of these assets starts to add up pretty quickly, and a lot of times it's not just again the trailer itself; it's what's on it. And you talked about content, Kiefer. One of the things that we try to convey to our customers and prospects is there's an ROI discussion that you have to have because one trailer lost, one piece of equipment stolen could pay for essentially 3 years of tracking hundreds of assets with our devices.
There's also cost comparison there too, right? Like people can displace ROI pretty quick these days. But when you start getting down to like cost comparison, right? Like what's it going to cost you if this piece of equipment goes missing, and whose job does that affect downstream? That's where the money meets that's where the money really makes an impact.
For a lot of companies today, especially the small businesses, that one trailer would ruin them.
100%.
Yeah. That's insane to think about when you have such a not necessarily cheap option, but affordable option to be able to track your stuff, be able to get out there and say, look, this is where it's at. I know exactly where my assets are.
Yep.
But if it goes missing, you're done for. So why, you got health insurance, you got life insurance, you got business insurance.
Right.
Why not take this aspect of things seriously?
And I think that's why you're kind of seeing a surge in what GeoForce does and our competitors do in the trailer business, right? Especially when you start getting into the RTO side of things, right? Where
it's the rent to own and
the rent to own, right? But everything's approved, or bad credit people, or right. And studies are starting to show that it's
Oprah, you get a car, you get a car,
everybody gets a trailer, right? But it's the first 6 weeks, right, or the first payment. And what happens if individual doesn't pay you, or that trailer goes missing, or they're trying to protect their capital investment with a GeoForce, or whatever our competitors are doing as well.
And it's surprisingly, because even when you go get a car, now when you purchase a car, you're buying a GPS tracker that they install in your vehicle.
Absolutely.
For when you don't make that payment, the bank knows, okay, this is where my product is.
Right.
So,
and I
seeing
think
the trailer industry going into that is pretty smart.
And I think you're starting to see banks. We've seen it here in the last, even setting up yesterday and into today. You're seeing banks getting involved in the trailer business, as well, for just that reason.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to be able to finance a little bit more of that, but they're also going to be able to shut it down, a little bit quicker than a dealer would at that point.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, this has been a wonderful episode.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the invite.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely. And
Appreciate the beer.
Sure, anytime.
thank you for the bourbon.
Cheers. Yep.
That's right.
While I sip
Thanks,
on
boss.
the energy.
Another shout out.
Yeah, all right.
Well, guys,
I haven't had 600 milligrams today, though.
yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
That's
Well, guys,
early.
we are grateful for the invite and for the conversation, and hopefully do this again real soon.
Booth
Yes, sir.
6:30
Yes, sir.
until 6 o'clock at the show.
That's right.
And if y'all are here, check out GeoForce. If not, GeoForce.com.
Yes, sir.
If you're in the Texas area, get a hold of Josh. He is
That's
the regional sales manager.
Get a hold of Lance. I'm here in Nashville. If you're
Oh,
in,
you are?
I am in Nashville.
That says Plano,
That's right.
Texas, though.
Huh? It does.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Oh,
where
that's where
our headquarters
headquarters,
are.
yeah.
That's right.
Fine then.
You find one of us, we'll talk to you.
I'm happy to come to Dallas.
That's right.
Come see us, man.
Absolutely. There's good barbecue around you guys, right?
Hell yeah.
Bring Lance.
Hey, y'all like baked potatoes?
Huh?
Baked potatoes?
Is a fat dog heavy?
Larry.
I mean,
That's a Texas sauce, too.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks for having us, guys. We appreciate it.
Been a pleasure. Y'all have a
Yeah.
good one.
Thanks now.
All righty.